Well, guys, it looks like the Yellow Freight Corporation is not coming back. Um, Jack Cooper wanted to buy them, and it looks like they've been turned down. And the bids are in for the properties, all but 46 of them, and it looks like they're going to be approved soon. Let's go through who's getting all these properties. All right, so you may remember right when this all first started going on with the bankruptcy, they were, taking bids for stuff and properties. And Old Dominion, the number 2 LTL carrier in the nation, put in a bid for $1.5 billion. Then Estes, the number 5 LTL carrier in the nation, came in with a bid of $1.525 billion for the properties. All of them. That's funny. I was talking, Old Dominion truck just pulled up beside me. Anyway, so I guess they decided not to accept a bid for everything and decided to piece it out, which worked out incredibly because they got 19% more. So far, they've got 19% more than Estes bid at $1.9 billion they've got, and they still have 46 properties to go. So we'll go through. First, I'm just going to go through all that happened with this, and then I will, towards the end, I will name off every single every property that was sold. For the most part, I may have missed some, and to who. But XPO, again, the number 4 LTL carrier in the United States, was by far the number 1. They paid $870 million for 28 properties all across the country. And I'll list them out in a bit. Estes, who was at one point the front runner, bought 24 properties for $248.72 million. And they were all scattered all across the country also. Saia is the number 9 LTL carrier. They bought 17 properties for $236 million. Knight Swift, who of course isn't on the list of LTL carriers, they're a truckload carrier, paid $51.3 million for 13 properties. 10 real estate firms, there are 10 different real estate firms that bought 33 properties for $380 million. An ArcBest subsidiary, obviously ABF, ArcBest subsidiary, paid $30.2 million for 3 properties in Arkansas, Iowa, and Ohio. And I couldn't figure out which Ohio one they bought. It wasn't listed for some reason. Pitt, Ohio. Pitt, Ohio's subsidiary, Terminal Properties, paid $83 million for 7 properties from South Carolina to Wisconsin. Pitt, Ohio is the 13th biggest LTL carrier last year. When I'm getting these numbers, Yellow was listed as number 3 last year, so I guess you could bump these all up one. Yeah. Anyway, T-Force, a T-Force affiliate, paid $16 million for 2 terminals in California and Kentucky. T-Force is listed as number 6. Raymore Land, I think it was Raymore Land Partners, is actually the real estate company owned by R&L Carriers, the number 8 LTL carrier in the United States, and they bought 8 properties for $211.5 million. A. Dewey Pyle bought 4 properties for $29.4 million, and they are the number 17 LTL carrier. Southeast Consolidators, who does not seem to have trucks. It seems like they are a cross-docking, supply chain management company. They bought 1 property for $8.5 million, and they currently have 2 locations, one in Atlanta, which is their headquarters, and one in Dallas. And the one that they bought, I believe, is in Fort Worth. So I guess they're staying in their same general area. Skylark Logistics I had to look them up. Skylark Logistics is a company out of Ontario, Canada, Cambridge, I believe. And they bought 2 properties in the United States for $8 million. A small company called Z Brothers Trucking. They have 47 trucks, and they bought 1 property for $4.2 million. That property, I don't know that they're expanding. It looks like they bought a property in the same town that they're from now, which is Brooklyn, Ohio. And maybe they're just getting a bigger terminal. Or Unis is a company I had to look up. I never heard of them. I don't know. I guess they're pretty big around here. But they bought 2 properties for $2.4 million. Now, like I said, that all totals up to $1.9 billion. And there's still 46 properties left to go. Now, they said that half of these properties left over are under 50 doors, smaller terminals. Might be bought up for different reasons. They're expecting to get $500 million more out of them, including the small ones. But there are still some big properties on the market. A 426-door facility in Chicago Heights. I mean, that's a big real estate market there. A 304-door terminal in Maybrook, New Jersey. Maybrook, for those of you that don't know, is on 84 up Newburgh area. There's actually a TA there, a Blue Beacon. Everything is in Maybrook. So they're kind of a New York City hub, it would be, I guess. Yeah, anyway, so then some other properties available, which I believe these are actually lease properties, so it would be buying leases. But they have a 216-door terminal in Cincinnati, 325-door terminal in Bloomington, California, 274 doors in Charlotte, and 227 doors in Atlanta. So they got some big terminals, and if they get another $500 million, could be doing pretty good. That would take it to what, $2.4 billion. And again, this money goes to pay back creditors. People who credit. And, they're saying they're actually going to make more. They were worth more dead than alive. And I guess it's good for everybody. Nobody lost out. Oh, except for all them men and women who actually built the company that got nothing in the end. By the way, I said in another video about Yellow that there was a severance for everybody based on time, and I got quite a bit of slack for that, and I apologize. I did not realize when I read the severance packages how they were going to be based on your time with the company. I did not realize that was non-union employees. If anybody who was a union employee got anything, let me know. But from what I'm hearing, they got nothing, and I apologize for saying that wrong before. I did not realize that when I read that. When I read all that just, Anyway, at the end here, I'm going to go through the list of who bought who bought what properties. By the way, these properties, the bids are done, and the bankruptcy judge in Delaware has to, they were incorporated in Delaware. Bankruptcy judge in Delaware has to approve it, but I don't see any reason he wouldn't. I mean, this is pretty substantial and looks pretty good for them. All the equipment is going up for auction through Ritchie Brothers. I believe it's starting now. I think there's going to be quite a few auctions. I think they're going to happen all over the country. It looks like that's going to happen. So the whole Jack Cooper thing was just, it was never going to happen. It was a stupid idea. I just don't see how it could have ever worked out. But at the end here, I'll tell you why it's ironic that XPO was the biggest bidder of these properties. Let's think back a bit to where XPO came from. And that will make this all very ironic. But let's get to who bought what properties here in the United States. All right, so let's name off all the terminals here that were bought and by who. Again, XPO was, by far the biggest with, I believe, 28 properties here. This is in no order at all. I tried to kind of go northwest and across, and it might be like that. I might have missed some, but I don't think so. But anyway, XPO bought Portland, Oregon, Central Point, Oregon, Bakersfield, California, Las Vegas, Nevada, Clifton, Colorado, Nogales, Arizona, Houston, Texas, Sherman, Texas, Little Rock, Arkansas, Columbia, Missouri, Burnsville, Minnesota, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Danville, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri, Jackson, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, Goodlettsville, Tennessee, Columbus, Ohio, Brooklyn, New York, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, Bensalem, Pennsylvania, Landover, Maryland, Kernersville, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and Ellenwood, Georgia. So that was the biggest purchase there. Estes, who again had the stalking horse high bid at one point, who we thought was going to buy everything, still managed to get quite a bit. They were the second biggest bidder, and they got. There actually was a terminal in Hawaii, and you know, some of these names I might butcher, especially a Hawaiian name. Waipahu, Hawaii. Austin, Texas. Sioux City, Iowa. Mason City, Iowa. Wheeling, Illinois. Edwardsville, Illinois. Olive Branch, Mississippi. Williston, Vermont. Bellows Falls, Vermont. Decatur, Alabama. Indianapolis, Indiana. Romulus, Michigan. Lima, Ohio. Richfield, Ohio. Williamsville, New York. Tonawanda, New York. Syracuse, New York. Bedford, New Hampshire. Charlotte, North Carolina. Macon, Georgia. And Boynton Beach, Florida. So they were the two biggest ones there. Knight Swift, which I heard that Knight Swift actually paid the least amount per properties. They said they really were buying properties up, you know, on the cheap. But they are getting Everett, Washington, Kearney, Wisconsin, Joplin, Missouri, Quincy, Illinois, Mosini, Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, Morton, Illinois, Wayne, Indiana, Jackson, Michigan, Dayton, Ohio, Belpre, Ohio, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and Evansville, Indiana. That's Knight Swift. T-Force, they only bought two properties, one in Sacramento, California, and one in Lexington, Kentucky. Southeast Consolidators, as I said before, they bought one in Fort Worth, Texas. A pretty small company there. Saya bought quite a few here, and they bought Martinez, Georgia, Mercerville, New Jersey, Fresno, California, Laredo, Texas, Owatonna, Minnesota, Duluth, Minnesota, Reading, Pennsylvania, Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, Seaford, Delaware, Knoxville, Tennessee, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Gaylord, Michigan, Wyoming, Michigan, Akron, Ohio, North Lima, Ohio, and one of the ones in Rochester, New York. Now, Crown Properties is actually owned by Central Transport, or is a subsidiary of Central Transport. And they seem to be sticking along the south here on this one, except they did get one in Gallipolis, Ohio. But their other ones are Ventura, California, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, Havasu City, Arizona, El Paso, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Fort Myers, Florida. Oh, yeah, let me switch here. Now, Raymar Properties, which again is R&L Carriers, they are going to get Salt Lake City, Utah, Irving, Texas, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Kansas, Stratford, Missouri, Newcastle, Delaware, and Piedmont, South Carolina. Eunice, the company that I didn't know anything about, is getting Tucson, Arizona, and Savannah, Georgia. And ArcBest, or ABF, It's actually ArcBest Properties. It's a subsidiary, but it doesn't matter. It's still ArcBest. They're getting Springdale, Arizona, and Des Moines, Iowa. I said I couldn't figure out which Ohio one they're getting, but I figured out they are getting one in Columbus, Ohio. Skylark Logistics, the Canadian company, is buying one in Toledo, Ohio, and one in Taylor, Michigan. They're pretty close to each other, and of course on the Canadian border there, so, you know, close to the Canadian border. And the Z Brothers, you know, the smaller company, is getting the one in Brooklyn, Ohio, which is a Cleveland suburb. Okay, I do have more. I thought I was done. A Dewey Pile, it seems like they're pretty much sticking to their area, and they're getting Bridgeport, West Virginia, Erie, Pennsylvania, Rochester, New York. Apparently Rochester, New York had a couple. And Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. And Pitt, Ohio, I didn't look into enough. If they might be expanding a bit, they might be pushing their limits a little bit more. I'm not sure. If you see where they're going, it's like they're up here and they're kind of expanding a little bit by going with Oak Creek, Wisconsin, McCook, Illinois, Williamsville, New York, Glenmont, New York, Chesapeake, Virginia, Wilmington, North Carolina, and Charleston, South Carolina. Now, there's some terminals I didn't mention. They were bought by real estate companies, and we wouldn't know who they are anyway, so it doesn't matter. But still 46 up. And let me tell you what's ironic about all this. Okay, so, you know, again, I said before that basically the drivers, the dock workers, all the union workers got screwed through all this. And there was another time that happened, and I did the story on it, you know, Consolidated Freight. And actually, I will put this story up there if you want to see it. But if you remember that story, it will tell you why this is so ironic that XPO is the biggest bidder. And it's because I learned through all this that it seems like at the end, Consolidated Freightways was siphoning money into their other company, Conway. And as they're siphoning money in there, they're slowly bankrupting their union company for their non-union company. Well, Conway eventually, you know, through acquisitions and everything, it's XPO now. And that's what's kind of ironic about all this, that the second biggest bankruptcy ever, the company that survived out of that was the biggest bidder for the biggest bankruptcy ever in trucking. And I don't know if that's sad or not. It is, because of all the drivers that lose their jobs when this happened. Overall, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but it just seems like, you know, the little guys are the ones getting screwed in the end. And that really sucks. Really sorry for all you guys that happened to. And again, also sorry for, you know, getting it wrong. I really thought you guys got a severance. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Just wanted to keep you guys updated, and I'll continue to keep you updated on the bankruptcy stuff that went on. By the way, the two bidders that weren't in here was the original bidder of the property, Old Dominion. Did not get any of these properties, and FedEx also is the #1 LTL carrier. So #1 and #2 weren't in this. Maybe there's a reason they're #1 and #2. You know, I did see that Old Dominion's numbers were down last month from what they had expected, and maybe that caused them to back out. Or maybe they were letting all these companies spend the big money, and they're going to be in here for the next round. So it all remains to be seen. Again, it's a bad situation, but I wanted to keep you guys updated on all of it, and I appreciate it. By the way, the video of Builders Transport is ready to go. It's actually going to be coming out tomorrow at noon. Tomorrow is, I don't know, December 7th. Yeah, so tomorrow, it's already scheduled to come out tomorrow at noon. I just wanted to get this out there. And after that, I'll be doing one on St. Johnsbury. So, hey, thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, comment below. I love reading the comments. Like and subscribe if you like this. And I'll catch you on the next one.